is the beach volleyball sensation Betsi Flint. Born and raised in a small town in South Dakota, Betsi fell in love with sports at a very young age. During high school, she found a passion for indoor and outdoor volleyball and went on to play for Loyola Marymount University, recently earning a spot in the prestigious LMU Hall of Fame. Her impressive resume includes 2 AVCA All-American titles in beach volleyball, 6 AVP champion titles, and multiple indoor records. While representing the USA, she and a partner have also earned gold in China and silver medals in Canada and Australia. Now, Betsi and a partner are currently aiming for a place at the 2024 Paris Games, with a recent impressive 9th place finish at the World Champs in Mexico. After becoming a mother in 2020, Betsi became deeply passionate about candidly sharing the hurdles she faced in returning to peak professional performance as a full-time athlete and a dedicated mom. She boldly uses her platform to empower women to go after their dreams through sharing her story, from the challenges of being a pro athlete to body image issues and balancing full-time motherhood and a dedicated athletic career. Stay tuned to hear more of Betsi's inspiring story. Let's get into it.
So Betsi, just to start off, something very random. If you were to open your fridge and pick an item from your fridge which you think best describes you, which item would you pick?
Oh, this is a great question. I am a foodie. I I just did some plant-based yogurt and some whole cacao granola, which was really good. Um, I would put multiple.
Multiple.
Fruit, I
But
always
that
have some fresh fruit from the farmer's market and fresh hummus, so those would probably be what I'd pick right now.
okay, nice. Are you plant-based as well, or do
No,
you
I'm
stick with?
dairy free.
Okay.
Yes, I'm dairy free, so just try to go the plant-based route when I can. Are
Mm,
you?
yeah. No, I'm not, but I actually prefer plant-based meals, which
Yeah,
is very
yeah.
interesting. Whereas my husband, on the other hand, he loves his meat. So when we first got married, I was cooking all these plant-based vegetarian meals, and he would just be like, "Awesome, but where's the meat?"
That's great. It sounds like my husband too.
And then, what would you say is your go-to coffee order or hot beverage?
I don't drink coffee. Lately, I've been getting a little bit into the matcha lattes. My beach volleyball partner is very into them and they're growing on me. So that would be my order.
Okay, lovely. And then what would you say is like your favorite country that you visited for a volleyball competition?
I have two. I really love Costa Rica. That was unique to go to when I first started playing. And you can't pass up Stad's Switzerland. It is
Okay,
beautiful
lovely.
there. The nature, the mountains, the crisp air. It's beautiful.
That's awesome. And you recently competed at World Champs in Mexico. So how did that go?
Yeah, we finished ninth in the world, which is great. It was disappointing. We wanted more. We knew we could do better. And the team just outplayed us that day. So that was a little disappointing, but a ninth in the world isn't too bad. So it went well. It was a 2 week tournament. I was away from my family for 3 weeks because we were in Paris before that. So I was really excited to get home and see them. And that was special too.
Well done. That's, yeah, to be able to say you're ninth in the world. I mean, top 10. That's great.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you're a six-time AVP champion for both indoor and beach volleyball, and yeah, just super excited to hear your story. So going right back to the beginning, how did you get involved in playing volleyball?
Yeah, I started playing volleyball maybe in 6th grade, indoor volleyball, just with friends through a YMCA league. And I played all the sports at the time. I played basketball and softball. And I definitely loved the friend group and people encouraged me to like start playing club. And so I was really loved basketball the most. And so it was hard for me to give that up. Eventually I did my sophomore year just through some bad coaching experiences and I really was progressing in volleyball. So that I chose to stick with volleyball with my sophomore year in high school. And I got into beach volleyball around 8th grade because one of my best friends played. And it is a completely different sport than indoor volleyball. You may think it's the same, it looks similar, but the elements, the sand, there's just two people instead of six. And so you're contacting the ball all the time. So it's really a tough transition. But I played both through high school. Beach was more recreation. There weren't leagues at the time. I got recruited to play indoor volleyball at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles, California. And then my sophomore year in college, beach volleyball became a sport, and I was able to play both in college. And right after college, I started playing professionally, and I wasn't sure if that was the route I wanted to go. And my partner and I ended up winning a tournament our first year, and we were the youngest team at the time to win a tournament. And that felt like a moment where I was like, okay, I can do this. I can play beach volleyball professionally. And yeah, that's the start of my professional career. And now I've been playing for about, 9 years, I think.
Wow. Okay. And maybe if you can also just touch a bit on that decision to become a professional volleyball player. What were your reservations, would you say?
My reservations are that I just didn't know if it's realistic for one, and it's a tough sport to make a lot of money in. It's not like the NBA or NFL where they're making millions and millions of dollars just to be there, obviously to perform as well. Ours is just performance based. So the better you do, the more money you win, and there's no salary, no guaranteed money. And then I was just coming out of college. I was like, should I get a real job? Like, I just got married. I was thankful that my husband was super supportive and he had a job right after college to help fund some of the travel, because a lot of it we do put the money up ourselves up front, and then we end up getting money in the back, if that makes sense, like after you win or after you play. So that was really helpful to have him support me, and he's definitely supported me this whole time. It's not an easy sport, but I love it, and I've been able to succeed, so it's been fun.
Yeah, I think it's so true as well for any sportsman or sports person. It's your community really play a massive role in how far you get and what you're able to achieve. So it's great to hear that you have that support system as well.
Yes, definitely.
And then there might be some people who are listening or watching this and they may have no idea how a typical volleyball match looks. So if you had to give like a crash course on it, how would you go about explaining it?
Yeah, well, it's on the sand, 2-on-2, so just me and one partner. And yeah, volleyball, it's like trying to keep the balloon off the floor. So you're trying to keep the ball up and then put it down on the other side. And as I mentioned earlier, there are a ton of elements: the sun, the wind, the weather. So those are always a factor, and how deep the sand is. And we play 2 out of 3, 2 sets to 21, and a third set if needed to 15. And we're trying to win, 2 out of 3 of those games to win the match.
And I think the sand element as well, again, and I think just being outdoors in general, because I remember when I was training for a half marathon, but I was running on the road, and then it was actually a trail run. So when I actually went to run the race, there was mud, and I just completely did not even think about that while training. And so my core got such a workout after that run, or during that run. I was actually so shocked by how my body was just completely almost like in shock by just going through that sort of course. And it's all because the terrain was different. So yeah, I can see how it's the same in volleyball.
Definitely. And we train and condition in the gym in the off season when we're not in the sand as much, and nothing beats being on the sand. Like you just can't prepare for it unless you're in it all the time.
Yeah.
So I feel that.
And then and then sort of touching on that as well. So we do live in a world that's very very focused on looks, and we see it in the media. There's like always these stereotypical images of how women should look. And while researching as well, I did notice that for beach volleyball athletes, you're often wearing, like, you have your sports bra, bikini pants. So did you ever struggle with moments of feeling like quite self-conscious while wearing your uniform? Yeah.
Definitely. And our sport now has evolved where we have more of a choice in what we wear. Before it was required, and there only if the temperature was a certain point could you wear like shirt or pants. So now it's, I think, one of the first years that we're able to wear pants whenever we want to, as long as we're matching with our partners. So that's awesome that we have that choice now. And for sure, early on in my career, I was way more self-conscious. Not to say it doesn't happen now, but before just felt like people were just looking at what I look like, and maybe they still are. But now I care a lot more about being stronger and how I'm performing more than how I look. And it's taken definitely a journey to get there. It's not easy, but I feel like I'm way more confident in who I am and my nutrition and like the work I put in, that I'm like confident in who I am and what I'm wearing. But there's still those days like we're females, we have menstrual cycles, we have hormones, and we get bloated. We have different, different times of the month our body does different things, which is pretty incredible. Like to grow a human, to get pregnant, that's what our body's preparing us for every month. So it's pretty awesome. And now I can appreciate, after having a daughter 2.5 years ago, how much like appreciation I have for my body and what it does every month.
And for other women who might be struggling with, because I know it's something I also struggled with for a while, is just I was so self-conscious of how I looked doing a specific sport. And it did hold me back in a sense of it affected my performance. So what advice would you give to other women who might be struggling with that as well?
Yeah, I think there are definitely people who can help. Like I've had sports psychologists and dietitians that are able to like talk to me about these things. And then I don't have any magic answer. It's definitely taken time, but for me, it's just accepting like I'd rather be winning or playing well than I would look good. Because they're, like, yeah, it's tough. It's definitely a tough battle. But prioritizing like performance and how your body feels and just being really mindful with that. And that's way more important than what you'll ever look like.
Yeah. And I think also what other people think of you as well and what they perceive of you.
Yes.
So sort of also tying into our next question, which is, as someone who is a professional female athlete, what are your thoughts on female representation in the media, just in general?
Yeah, it's definitely a big topic right now, and it's pretty cool to see a little bit more spotlight on females and all the women's sports. I think for us as females or any just people the audience, we need to be like going to these events more, like supporting female athletes, going to indoor volleyball games and just showing our support and getting us like in person our attendance, or watching it online when it's there, or watching it on the TV, just to get those numbers up and to show we care about women. I think that would really help the representation. Obviously, I'm not thrilled that it's not super high, but I think we've got to like keep consuming all of that, all the sports, all the female sports.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely been great to see this year alone. I think the World Cup did a huge favor in that, in just not necessarily spearheading, but really just continuing to build on yeah, sportswomen's representation in the media. And yeah, it seems like it is just continuing, it's on the rise. So it's very exciting. And as an athlete, I can imagine for you, it's also like it's difficult to think of from when you started to where you are now and the prospect of where it could go. It must be super cool.
Yeah, it is exciting. It seems like we should have made a change earlier, but it's cool to see like the AVP or different sports like putting females first instead of the men. So that's just the small changes make a big difference. We had here in the US, in Nebraska, they had indoor volleyball play on a football stadium, and I think they had like 90,000 people come and watch them, which is incredible. So it just shows like if we can get the right venue, get the right people around, like people want to watch women's sports. Like I think we're pretty incredible what we can do.
Exactly. And so you're a mom as well. And yeah, if you don't mind sharing the decision around deciding to become a mother while you were a professional athlete, surely I can assume it wasn't really an easy one. So if you don't mind, maybe just talking a bit about that.
Yes, that is one of the biggest challenges is deciding to get pregnant, and our bodies change so much. So I was very worried about being able to come back and play. I was like, will my body be able to jump? Will I have the desire to do it? Um, just so many like doubts around it and just questions. And then COVID hit and our sport was pretty much on pause. I had talked to a friend and she's like, this isn't going away anytime soon. And I was like, this might be a really good time to start a family while everything's on hold. And it worked out. We were able to get pregnant fairly quick. And I know that's a challenge for some people. So I'm very fortunate. And so I didn't miss a ton. I missed like 3 COVID tournaments where they played in a bubble. And that helped and made me feel like I didn't miss out on a ton. But I do think it is really hard for us to figure out when to start a family because you have to watch your sport continue and your body is changing. You don't know what it's going to be like after. And then taking care of a little human is really hard. The sleep deprivation alone, and then just the mental load and the mental toll it takes on your everyday. But I've definitely found that I've figured it out a little bit, and it's helped me like fuel my why and fuel who I am as a player. And I do think I have leveled up and I'm playing almost better than I was before pregnancy, which is really cool to say.
Yeah, we actually once also had an interview with another water polo player, and she also during lockdown she had a baby as well. She said she was so surprised to see how her performance when she went back to water polo had actually improved so much, which she didn't expect. But yet again, it wasn't easy, but now she said looking back, like she was just really yeah, she was able to push herself a lot more than what she expected. Yeah, so I assume that was the same for you. Okay. And then what would you say were maybe some misconceptions around balancing motherhood and being a professional athlete that she faced?
I think one is that I don't know if balance is ever the right word. It always feels like something's taking from another. I thought my life would kind of go back to normal in a way where, like, when I'm at home, I'm a mom. When I'm out training, like, I'm just focused on that. But I always am thinking about my daughter. I'm thinking about the time we can be having together and what I need to do and what we're going to do later. And just, I don't know, I think all the things that like go through your head, and I'm distracted by like being present with her, which is awesome. But that leads to like I'm not responding to my emails or my texts as fast. So I think just yeah, it's not easy. I think a lot of moms you see they make it look really easy. And I've been told I make it look easy, and I do not think it's easy by any means. Like my daughter's 2.5 and still struggles to sleep through the night, which is really hard on me. My husband's been great, and a lot of times he takes her when I have practice in the morning, just because the lack of sleep can increase your risk for injury. So we just want to be smart with all of that. But it's definitely rewarding in so many ways. As I said, it inspires my why. It's really hard to travel. I'm in a sport where we travel a ton. I was gone for 3 weeks a little bit ago, and those are the hardest times. Like when I'm competing, it's great and I can stay focused on that, but the downtime between tournaments is really challenging, and I miss her, I miss my husband, and yeah, it's a challenge.
And I think you've sort of touched on it already as well, but it must have also been really um, special for you to see as well how your body just like was able to adapt after you had your daughter, and then just getting back into the swing of things with training, and even now like still having to be a full-time mom, be a wife, be an athlete. So yeah, I assume the appreciation for your body also definitely um, increased, if I could put it that way.
Yes, yeah, that time coming back was really challenging, like immediately after having her. And I think I read it takes like 2+ years for our hormones to regulate and get back to normal after having a kid, which is a long time.
Yeah.
And it definitely affects like our body, our muscles and all of that. So it's been a challenge. And like I mentioned before, there's a lot of self-doubt coming back, and I'm glad I pushed through it and I'm past that really hard zone. And I feel more myself these days. So that's good.
It's great. Thanks so much for sharing that. And you're currently on the road to Paris 2024. So yeah, how is that going and what do you need to do in order to qualify?
Yes, to qualify for the beach volleyball Olympics, they consider your best 12 finishes over the course of a year and a half. So starting this past January up until next June of 2024, they consider, our best 12 tournaments. So that's a lot of tournaments.
Mm.
And then we have to be the top 2 US teams. So only 2 US teams get to go, and it's highly competitive. Right now, we are, I want to say like number 9 or 10 in the world. But we still have more tournaments to play, and yeah, it's a grind for sure, and it's gonna come down to the end. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, we rooting for you, and yeah, I can see that. I imagine that it is something really exciting. Yeah, I think for anyone to be able to go to the Olympics it would be huge. Yeah.
Yes, and I think our sport definitely puts that on the highest stage. Like the Olympics is the highest stage for us. It would be awesome to get our sport to more of a place where we have like bigger tournaments all the time. So that's not just like the end all, So hopefully one day we'll see that. But it is really cool.
And just I just thought of this now as well. Would you say beach volleyball is very popular amongst women in the States, or is it more male dominated?
It's more female dominated.
Okay.
We have beach volleyball in college now, and the men do not. And so that's helped like develop more clubs in high school. So a lot of high school girls are choosing to play beach volleyball, which it is interesting to see some of these young girls specialize so early. Like I loved that I played indoor and beach, and you just don't get burnt out. You're playing almost 2 different sports. So I hope we don't see a burnout happen or anything like that. But yeah, it's definitely become more popular for female athletes.
Okay, that's very interesting. And okay, before we conclude, as an athlete, what legacy do you hope to leave behind? I know legacy, that big word, but yeah, if you had to think of like the message you wish to share with the world through your sport, what would that be?
Yeah, I hope that I'm remembered as a woman who was able to have a family, have a baby, come back and play almost better than before. And I want to inspire like women, even not in our sport, that they can pursue their careers and motherhood and show them the realities, like that it's not easy, but it is very rewarding. And it's pretty cool to be able to show my daughter that she can pursue her dreams. And one day she can look back and like see what I did. And hopefully it inspires her to just pursue her passions, and it'll be fun to watch her grow up and see that example.
That's really good. And if you had to like summarize how sport has impacted your life and influenced the person that you are today, what would you say?
That's a big question. It's definitely impacted me tremendously, just with the community aspect, the teammates, the friends, but also helped me discover like different skills I had, like these soft skills like determination, persistence, and It's cool for me to like see that in my daughter and point that out to her now at a young age, where it's taken me a long time to see that I've had these skills in me probably my whole life. And I just didn't realize it until playing sport and working with the right coaches and having them point that out and empower me. So it's definitely empowered me as a person. It's helped me become more confident in who I am. And I want my daughter to play sports because of all those things I've learned. And it's pretty cool to see what sport can do for us.
Yeah. And I think yeah, because I know specifically here in Ireland, there's a big dropout rate, especially when girls get to high school. And just that those teen years, that's when a lot of girls tend to drop out. But it's crazy to think once you get past that and just looking back how influential sport actually is on a person. Yeah, so thanks for sharing that. And then sort of touched on it already, but again, how would you say or why would you encourage other women and young girls to participate in sport?
Yeah, definitely from what I said before, that it can help that confidence. It can help figure out who you are like off the court too, not just on the court. And it's awesome to have a built-in friend group. And you don't always have to get along with every single person on your team, but just to have that group that can like be by your side and to stick up for you. And that was, yeah, a big part of my career, even in high school. It's harder now as beach volleyball athlete, it's just me and my partner. I don't have a big team. But I think that's really important for young girls to have, especially in high school when you can be swayed so many different ways and you're trying to figure out who you are. But having those people to hold you accountable in a way and to always have built-in friends.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Betty, for your time and yeah, just sharing your story. I'm not sure if there's anything else you want to add.
No, I appreciate you taking the time to share my story and other female athletes. I've listened to some of your episodes and they're awesome. And I appreciate what you're doing for us. And I'm excited to listen to this.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope to see you again for the next episode. Be sure to subscribe to Her Sports social platforms to get the latest women in sports content.